It was deeply moving to see and note a minute's silence at the trooping of the colour, which marks the King's official birthday yesterday. The minute's silence was a mark of respect for all those who'd lost their lives in the Air India plane crash. But it also showed the strong connection between the United Kingdom and India, and in particular that strong connection between India and the Crown, and the fact that His Majesty is still regarded highly throughout the Commonwealth and is retained as the leader of the Commonwealth, supported by India. All the military personnel in yesterday's pageantry wore black armbands, including members of the royal family who were in uniform, including His Majesty. There has been a painful history at times between India and the United Kingdom. I suppose in the same way there was a painful history between Ireland and the Crown. It reminds me of the time when Queen Elizabeth II spoke in Dublin Castle a number of years ago when on an official visit to the Republic of Ireland. And she began her address, which shocked everybody, by saying, Accordia agus a dina úsal, which is Gaelic for friends and distinguished people. And she just about floored everybody, and they nearly all choked on their starter. But then she went on to say something profoundly wise when she said, we must remember our history, but we shouldn't live in our history. And indeed that has become the relationship between India and the United Kingdom. Because in that history, it's often forgotten that thousands upon thousands of Indian soldiers fought in both wars, both in Europe and in the Japanese War, and sometimes that's not remembered. And yet, with our shared history with India, not many of us know that much about India, including myself. I've only been there once. I always got it completely wrong about the Indian flag until I looked up its meaning the other day. The Indian flag, known as the Tiranga, which means tricolour, is orange, white and green, horizontal stripes, not vertical stripes, like the Irish Republican flag. Now, as you know, or many of you might not know, the Irish tricolour is supposed to represent green for Catholic nationalists, orange for Protestant orange people. I didn't want to say men, because that would sound incorrect, people. And white is for peace between them, allegedly. Now, I thought the Indian flag was the same, that orange was for Hindu, and green was for the Muslims, and white for peace between them. But that's not the case. And I've believed that all my life, so there you have it. And I looked it up the other day, and I'm now the wiser. The orange, or saffron, symbolizes courage, sacrifice, and renunciation. White is for peace, yes, purity and truth. And the green, which is kind of somewhat obvious when I read it, is faith, fertility, and growth. And in the center of the flag is the Ashoka Chakra, a blue wheel with 24 spokes, symbolizing law and constant growth. So that is, now you're the wiser, you know the meaning and the colours of the Indian flag. Getting back to the terrible air disaster, tragically, all the passengers but one died. 241 passengers out of 242. Vishwash Kumar Ramesh from Leicester was indeed the only survivor. It seems incredibly miraculous that he practically walked from the plane, which was totally destroyed by the crash. And the plane was flying from the city of Metabad on its way to Gatwick. Now, this is just an aside story that I picked up on during the week. The sole survivor was sitting in seat 11A. And as I said, he was the only survivor. And there has been mention of seat 11A in reference to another plane crash. Mr. Loy Chuzak was on the Thai Airways flight TG261 many years ago when it crashed attempting to land in Surat Thani in southern Thailand. Mr. Loy Chuzak was sitting in seat 11A. I'm not quite absolutely sure where 11A is. I think Alistair, who's a constant flyer, might inform us later on, but I think it may be close to one of the the escape doors. I might be wrong on that. Now, however, it needs to be said that Mr. Kumar Ramesh was the only survivor, whereas Mr. Loy Chuzak was not the only survivor. There was 146 passengers on his plane and 101 died, 45 survivors. Whether coincidence or whatever. However, we wish Vishwash Kumar Ramesh a speedy recovery and every blessing. And our broken hearts sympathize with all the other families from various countries who lost loved ones on that flight. Indeed, some families were completely wiped out. But it is important to say to everybody, even with that terrible, terrible crash, very important to note, flying is still the safest way to travel. You are probably in more danger coming in your car to All Souls this morning than you are flying. That shouldn't put you off coming to All Souls, by the way. Take the risk. Part of the organic relationship with India is through families. There's probably none of us here that don't know an Indian family or have some connection. Indeed, we have Deepak and Priti, Salman and their lovely children who come here to All Souls. And indeed, when I lived in England, I had numerous Indian families as friends, mainly because they invited you around on Sunday for incredible meals that you never tasted the like of. And also to show the multi-ethnic makeup of the United Kingdom and the changes that have taken place. Our former Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak, was from an Indian family and was of the Hindu faith. I always feel sorry for Rishi. He really became Prime Minister at a rotten time, didn't he? I mean, I don't share his political worldview, but he seemed like a very nice man. He always smiled and was always very well dressed. And yet he just had a miserable premiership, just got there when it was too late. Rishi was born, well, he was definitely born. I'm just looking up now where he was born. Rishi was born in Southampton, in Southampton General Hospital. And he was born to a Punjabi East African family of Hindu parents, because many people from the Punjab emigrated to Africa, different African countries. And in many African countries you'll find an African-Asian community. Now, I know the Punjab. I was there once. The Punjab is divided into Pakistani Punjab and Indian Punjab. And when I was only in Pakistani Punjab, trying to remember the city now. What was the city we were in? Later on. Anyway, to come to me. Anyway, in the Punjab, I was there as a guest of Oxfam, and they brought me out to see a village on the side of the Punjabi River. And I was sitting there talking to this local village chief, and he told me he was a member of the PUP. Now, here we know the PUP as the Progressive Unionist Party, a very, very small party, but David Irvine was one-time leader. And I said, "You join the PUP, the one based in East Belfast." No. He said, "The Punjabi Unionist Party." So he was actually still an old-fashioned unionist and a member of the Punjabi Unionist Party. Very interesting man. And the project that Oxfam were working on was building houses on the side of the Punjabi, of the river. And the people in the Punjab, of course, are of the Islamic faith, because when India and Pakistan divided, Muslims went north or whatever direction to Pakistan, and the Hindu and most Sikhs fled into India, and it was pretty brutal at the time. But getting back to Rishi, Rishi is a cricket enthusiast, and more importantly, Rishi took his oath as an MP in the House of Commons on the Bhagavad Gita, the Hindu faith, the holy book of the Hindu faith. That was how he swore his oath to the Crown and to the Parliament. And as I say, I cannot profess to know much, only very little of Indian culture, or indeed religion, because India is incredibly diverse. Yes, mind you, 80% of the population of India are associated with the Hindu faith. Although there is a significant population of Muslims and also of Christians. And the interesting thing, when I was, by the way, the city I was trying to think of was Lahore, but when I was in Islamabad, I went to meet with a Christian community in Pakistan, in Islamabad. And I learned that people converted to Christianity when it was safe, because you cannot convert to Christianity in Pakistan now. It's a death sentence, basically, to become a Christian in Pakistan. But people did earlier on become Christians, and in many cases because they thought it would help them escape the caste system. But in actual fact, it didn't, because the caste system is a permanent feature. Whoever you are, it's a permanent feature in Islam, in both India and Pakistan. Imagine that there are 1.25 billion Hindu, basically because of the size of the Indian country of India. And Hindu and English are both the official languages. And it's incredible. I remember walking into a meeting in Islamabad. Now I'm back in Pakistan, but it would happen in India as well. You walk into a meeting, and the people in the meeting in Pakistan were speaking Urdu. And as soon as I walked into the meeting, which was about 50 people at the meeting, as soon as I walked in the door, because I was the guest speaker, everybody in the room changed to English. Automatically, everybody changed. Because I was their guest, they automatically changed to English. And I've had the same experience at meetings in India. I was just so impressed by that, because I don't think we would do it for anybody. Speaking whatever language, we just expect the world to speak English, and rightly so. We just say, and if they don't, we just speak louder. Have you ever seen people in a French restaurant in Paris and say, and when the waiter says, pardon, just speak louder and he should understand. But I was so impressed by that, particularly in Pakistan, but it happened in India as well. The Bhagavad Gita, otherwise known as God's Song, is the holy book, the holiest of books of the Hindu faith. And it's probably the oldest religious text in the world. I don't know, but I think of all of the faiths, it probably is. The Gita is a synthesis of various strands of Indian religious thought, including the Vedic concept of Dharma. And what does Dharma mean, which is at the heart of Hinduism? It means simply duty and rightful action. That you know what your duty is and what are the rightful actions you carry out upon that duty. Now, Dharma doesn't have a single meaning when it translates into English. The concept of duty and the concept of rightful action is various throughout Hindu understanding. But it does mean when watered down, or not watered down, but when reduced to attempt to reduce one single meaning, it's your moral responsibilities, your duties, what's obliged of you as a human being. Now, we live in a society that is obsessed with the concept of one's rights. Absolutely obsessed with one's rights, rather than responsibilities or duties. Sadly, we very seldom hear people saying, these are my duties, these are my responsibilities to other people. It's usually about my right, my right, my right. And sometimes I think it would be better if we focused more on our responsibilities to others. And likewise, by focusing more on our responsibilities and duties to others, and they did likewise, then we would be all protected and our rights would be protected. I suppose we understand it in Christianity as do unto others as we would wish them to do unto us. Maybe we need some Dharma in our society. It is sad that it takes such a terrible tragedy as the recent plane crash to make us reflect and think of the strong links with India and the great contribution that many, many Indians have made to life here, throughout Ireland and throughout Great Britain, in the health service and in other ways, many, many other ways. The contributions of Indian people throughout these islands is endless. I leave you with a quote from the Bhagavad Gita, which resonates with the Christian view that it is in the giving that we are rewarded. And the Gita reads, "You have a right to perform your prescribed duties, but you are not entitled to the fruits of your action." Amen.